starting off on the attack, setting the tempo of the game, Tim.
We are heading to Ibiza. La Perla Blanca Hotel and Resort will be the battleground for Map 2 here between Team 1 and FaZe. If you've just joined us, FaZe were able to just about squeak over the line 7-5 from a great leading position of 6-3. Team 1 reeled them back in, but couldn't quite finish the job and take it to overtime. So FaZe Clan it is that secures map number 1, and it just feels like their experience is coming to the forefront a little bit here, and Team 1 just struggling to find their feet on Villa. But it's important to remember that Villa was FaZe Clan's map choice. So we are now heading into Team 1's choice here on Coastline. The bans are in. We've got the Thinker ban. That's, I think, not too much of a surprise there, Jackie.
Yeah.
We've got a book, we've got a Valkyrie and a mirror. So certainly a couple of interesting attacker bans there.
It does feel like, obviously, some of the most targeted bans we've really seen throughout the season. It feels like the accurate reads that have come through, you can see each and every player reflected in those bans, and then just the mirror ban for good measure, obviously, just sprinkled in at the end. Oh, man. I mean, you described it. You were talking about it right back on the first map. We said, you know, when he was on Thinker previously, the 1 versus 4, the clutch of a lifetime, a ridiculous play where he also showed that he's a bit of a basketball player as well. He came in with a 3-point nade, decimated them with it, and went on to write his own legacy. That's not available tonight. No Thinker. It's been banned out. Will that come back to hinder them as they're starting off on their attack as well?
Team 1, absolutely essential that they come in with a strong defence here to begin with. Generally speaking, we have seen the attackers have the better of things here on Coastline, but the more times we see the map played, the sort of lower that difference gets each time. You know, it takes, if you've only got 1 or 2 times played, it only takes 1 or 2 good attacking performances to completely skew it. But as time goes on, we've certainly seen it level out a little bit. But right now, Team 1, they need to buck that trend, and they need to come in, for me, with a 4-2 here. Get themselves a really good advantage heading into the second half when they are on the attack, because for me it feels like if FaZe come in with the better of this half, that is then a big mental mountain for Team 1 to climb, because not only are they a map down, they're also then behind on rounds in the second map. It's gonna be tough for them.
I just can't wait to see how this opening round is going to go, and if Team 1, off the back of the close crushing affair, if they've snapped back into position immediately, if they've got their mentality in the right spot, or if they're going to be shaken a little bit, if they might be slightly slower coming into this. We've seen that both of these sides have had some very interesting games on Coastline in the past. FaZe Clan, I mean, we've spoken about it so much because it was a monumentous one, but obviously Team 1 on the flip side, they had the affair versus Liquid as well, and they've shown that they do lay a claim towards this beautiful resort. Is it going to be a resort into today's matchup, though? And if it will be, for what side? As already we're about towards the 2-minute mark. We've got 1 minute and 50 seconds left to work with now currently into the round. And first contact hasn't been found. No one's been spotted out, and no one has been slayed down into the ground immediately. Team 1 playing quite reserved. Not going for any initial peaks. Basically just playing their crossfires and holding. Waiting for the pushes to come through.
Team 1, just as they did back on Villa, have chosen to take their worst defensive site to begin with. They have come out and gone straight to kitchen and service, where they've only won 1 of 3 previous attempts. Ion opening things up onto Raps, and that to me looks like it could be heading in the same direction. And whilst I can understand the logic to it potentially of coming in on the worst site, if you can get that one on the board, then it's a real mental boost. You get into that second and third round on sites that you've maybe got 100% win records on, in the case of Team 1 on the defense here on Coastline. But the big problem is you have to get that tough site on the board to begin with in order to do that. And right now, it's not looking good for them as Mav comes in with another onto Reduct, and we find ourselves quickly 5 versus 3. They've still got a full HP Blitz active. He will take some smoke damage, but manages to push through. He's just going to absolutely terrorize them in sight. You can see him just charging through, forcing Lukid back out of the bathroom there. Live gets the diffuser down and active, and right now, things are not looking good for Team 1.
Oh, mate, this is really looking quite rough. Each and every one of them being gunned down, but they have got the sustainability of FaZe at an all-time low. 3 players in a position to be picked off of a couple of stray bullets here and there. Unfortunately, Goyo utilizing the nitro, but it won't really be spinning an unfortunate factor into the round. But when they do peek out, they begin to punish. Looking like the terrorists from the public square, but they need to get out of the way of the nades that are rolling back in to try and destroy them. Peek round into the corridor. It's not looking good as Mav, he'll clean up. The round came close, but he shuts it down as they instigate a fight that he doesn't want to be a part of. Thatcher the Smasher beats his way through and cracks open 2 skulls to get an opening round for FaZe.
Great round from FaZe there, very aggressive, got themselves into sight, focused on that objective, got the diffuser active on the ground, also some vertical pressure as well. Lines of sight opened up, which just enabled the hold vertically in that retake attempt. And as you could see, that was what really pushed it, because the nades started raining down like a terrifying thunder from above Jackie, and it just forced Team One's hand as to how they had to try and deal with that post-plant situation, and ultimately shut down on the single door by Mav. They were stacked up on top of each other. They were just asking to be decimated at that point.
Oh, man. It's so rough as well, because it did feel like one of those rounds where Team One, you know, you shake them, you rattle them all night long, you keep them close and gets them into a position where it feels like the round is going to slip through their fingers. Then for some reason, they just pop off, they clean up on the retake and shut it down. But the 2-player face towards the corridor just didn't work. Mav just swinging in, beheads both of them with the scythe effectively, and opens it up with a clean first round. A hat trick there for the main man. And in terms of how this game is going so far, we did to get involved like we like to with the weeklies. This time, obviously, for the major, the predictions mean an awful lot more. We asked who was going to take the win here on Coastline, and we had 68% of the vote going in favor of FaZe. That's only 32% believing in Team One, the #1 ranked squad coming in off the back of the weeklies.
I think it's largely based on the performance that we've seen on Villa. Ultimately, FaZe are looking very good. It's not to say Team One aren't. They were solid, they had some good rounds, but right now, FaZe look absolutely electric, and that seems to be carrying forward onto Coastline. And thank you, everybody, for getting involved in those polls. If you've not managed to join us for the weeklies, you may not know, but me and Jackie, we love our chat. We love all you guys out there getting involved, giving us your opinion, and production very generously feeds those polls back to us. So let's get those numbers up and get involved. Let us know what you think. But yeah, I can't disagree at this point in time, especially with FaZe coming in on the attack here with the 68% that have gone in favour of them taking this map, because right now they've got themselves a good start, and I'm a little bit concerned, Jackie, of Team One's site choice. I mentioned in the first round, Kitchen Service, not their best site overall on this map historically. That's fine, give it a whirl. They've gone back there for a second attempt. They are now only a 25% win rate on this site coming into it, including the last round. Overall, historically, 25%. There are sites that they haven't lost on defensively. I don't understand why you keep pushing this site. Mav comes in, opening kill once again, this time onto Lukid, taking the Legion off the board. So there will be no more goo mines, and always difficult to lose those operators early whose gadgets develop over time. It is a real loss of potential utility, and not a good start for Team One again.
Oh no. There is going to be a commotion in the kitchen though, as the chef trying to make a meal will bust out the blades and be able to slice through 2 men, leaving them as FaZe Clan fillets on the floor. It's all left up to one of them, and he's not going to be alive for long. Ash, overpowered by Philippox on the peak, slaughtering his way through as he'll clean up, serving up speciality cocktails there from behind the bar. Tim, another round now, coming straight back in. Team One, they have woken up here. Already it's kept close. Same result as we had on Villa to start off with, where they will split the initial rounds and it will go 1-1 apiece. This is better because, of course, it could have spiraled out of control. We could have had FaZe Clan coming back in off the opening win, really racking up those rounds. And the scary factor with that is that every round FaZe Clan get, every step they are closer to being able to 2-0 the series here and putting Team One to bed, which means they'll drop down into the lower bracket. It's a best of 3, and they've already got that 1 map advantage. That is why it's so pivotal now that they come out and they look like the IB for bruisers, and they start to party their way to the top.
Good round for them. They've answered my, my concern there of that site choice going to kitchen service. Much more solid that time around. I think FaZe just tried to rinse and repeat largely and push oNe quickly into site and get kills off the back of the confusion that the blitz can cause, but ultimately it was not successful. This one, Team 1 more than ready for it and shut them down. We're going to be heading upstairs in round number 3 to Hooker and Billiards. Now, both teams, respectively, Team 1 on defense, FaZe Clan on attack, have got 100% win rates historically on this site. So something's going to change, Jackie. One of those teams is going to lose that 100% record right now. The question is, will it be FaZe or will it be Team 1? Nothing drastically unusual on the operator choices. We've got the Lion on the side of he's joined by oNe on the blitz, and that can be an intimidating combination, I think it's fair to say. And we're going to see some early aggression here from Mav. He's had a couple of opening kills so far, so he's obviously riding on that wave of confidence at the minute and happy to get into those early gunfights and engage early onto the enemy. But he's not going to have any joy immediately. There's nobody there for him to challenge, but we can see the bottom floor clearance coming out from FaZe here. Not too much of a surprise, and it shouldn't take them too long. Roamers are not going to want to get stuck downstairs, because once FaZe Clan take 50% top floor control, which is what they will aim to do, they'll want to control around theatre, top of main stairs, luggage and aquarium. That's the area particularly they're looking to lock down. Once they gain that, it's very difficult for those roamers to get back up to site. So that's why they're going to be reasonably easy to force out here.
Again, man, we've seen already into these rounds as well that FaZe have been so effective at winning the initial opening duels and just at least forcing Team 1 into an uncomfortable position where it then turns into a matter of fight or flight, and they have to just snap, start swinging, and go windmilling into their retakes. FaZe Clan also a side that has definitely been utilizing Lion throughout the entire regular season. They love to try and use him to stall the push when they're going for those bombastic bombard plays into the site. When they execute, they'll make use of that Lion, then they'll charge in to try and freeze everyone in position and stop you from being able to swing and actually get in contact. So at that point, you've lost control of your bomb sites. The one thing they have lost so far into this round, though, is Doc. Raps is gone, the meds have been dashed, and the scalpel has been broken. This could slow Team 1 down a little bit. Not the worst utility to use. Probably would have been a little bit more awkward if your smoke had gone down, but he's already actually been forced out of all of his smoke cans already, Tim. That's the third one that's just been used. And now he gets dropped. Ion spots him on the peek through, so Lion getting the claws out and cleaning up one by one. They really are ruling the roost here going into this round, as the fuser will be going down, and it's all left on one man. Mozzie the Aussie trying to do something awesome, but he's not allowed to. As he comes up, cool vibes, he's going to have his legs broken by Astro that is not content with big chillin'.
Easy finish for FaZe there. They knew exactly where the Mozzie was coming. There was a ping that went out just as we watched the man head into sight with diffuser in hand. We just saw that red ping underneath us, and it just told them exactly where the Mozzie was. And from there, there's only one option. He's coming up the cool vibe stairs. He managed to get the kill onto Ion, but it was completely impactless as things finished out, because Astro had that angle locked down tight as well, and all guns were trained in that direction at that point, and he was just heading headlong into a firing squad. Tough round for Team 1 there. They were shut down summarily on site, unable to move. Very, very claustrophobic for them. And we're going to be heading into round 4 now with FaZe 2-1 in the lead. And it's still close. It's very, very close. But FaZe, they're going to be looking to get another couple of rounds on the board at least in this attacking half. They want to get themselves the advantage coming into the switch of half, and they want to get themselves this second map on the board. They don't want to be wasting time. They don't want to be wasting energy on Team 1 here. If they can get this done, they progress in the upper bracket of the major for LATAM region.
And that's huge. Think about it as well. From the season that FaZe had, Tim, where they looked like they were really getting thrown around, right? In quite choppy waters. They could never really find stability. They had to fight hard until the bitter end of the league to come in, beat Team 1 immediately, kind of try and put them in their place a little bit and slow them down. Because you've got to think about the amount of confidence Team 1 must have had coming into tonight. They should have woken up feeling fresh, bouncing towards their computers and ready to rumble. And since they've got onto the server, FaZe Clan, they have been bullying them. They've been throwing out some heavy hits. They've been decking them when they get into the 1v1s. And for a lot of the rounds as well, it feels like FaZe Clan right now, they're kind of outplaying them when it comes to some of the aim battles, which really isn't what we've seen. Throughout the entire season, Team 1 have been able to go toe-to-toe in the middle of a cell with anyone you pit them up against. Tonight, though, that's not the Team 1 we're seeing. They're a little bit slower when it comes to their attacks. It feels like they're struggling slightly on the defense as well with some of the angles we're seeing them hold, and they keep suffering when it comes to the opening duels. At least there's a trade this time, and the trades keep on giving as well as they bite back. They've had enough of being pushed around. Philippox puts on the knuckle dusters, swings wide, beheads another man, dropping them down into the 4 versus 3 here into round 4.
It just feels a little bit at the minute like Team 1 are a sort of a spluttering car. They're trying to get themselves going, but they just can't get the engine to turn over at the minute. There's just no bite there, and they keep having those moments where it coughs and splutters and you think it's going to get going, but then no, you're left, Jackie, you're left pushing it uphill, and you've got car after car driving past you. Nobody's stopping to lend a hand. It's just terrible manners.
Oh, mate, there's a guy in a white van, he's drove by and just gone, "Hey!" And they're like, oh, come on. Honestly, it's an awful day. Could it get any worse? And you've got the men with Ven just driving by screaming at you. It's not good, Tim.
Tell you what, Jackie, men with Ven, you are certainly raising the reference game here for the major, and I'm here for it, Jackie. I love to see it.
Well, let's see who's got the super hands into this round, Tim. Who's going to be quick on the draw when it comes to combat, as we're now down towards the 60-second mark and the push should be coming out relatively soon. In terms of the trade game, though, it's been much better for Team 1 here. You lost Lukid. Big boy Lukey D was dropped down into an early grave, but that fired them up. That lit a fire in the hearts of the Team 1 defense, and they've been able to slay Astro and Yuna, and they're ready for a third as well. As the push comes through, Habana will be Hagona, as she's overpowered by Philippox on the peak with the SMG, shutting her down and dropping the diffuser. And this drops down the chance of FaZe Clan winning the round to minute levels. They're in horrific positions, and it's just getting worse by the second. And it seems like there is going to be a detonation to end it. Mav steps through the doorway, gets hit with a nitro, and doesn't even know what has occurred.
No real challenge on to the man playing in behind the bar there. Philippox just allowed to run rampant from that location, shuts down the Habana, and then I can only assume, I think it was the sledge at the end, just didn't see him there and was just able to peek back on and think, you know what, I'll take this with a nitro. I'm not going to risk my life. I don't need to stick my head back above that parapet, and just sends out the explosives, which will detonate and reverberate as the round is shut down, and Team 1 find themselves back level 2-2 now on the scoreboard. And this one is just absolutely neck and neck, and we could be heading for a photo finish here, Jackie. I think we're going to see another 12 rounds here potentially, but if that's going to be the case, FaZe, I feel, need to keep themselves in this. They need another round here on their attacking phase, because we know, or I suspect, that Team 1 are going to come in very strong on the attack, and if they can get themselves the advantage 4-2 on the defense, it might just be a little bit too much of a lead for FaZe Clan to overcome when they move on to the defense.
And that's what's scary as well, right? Because, you know, in reality, FaZe, they tend to be way better on their attack. When they can get fast and furious, when they can push in, utilize some of the stellar drone work that we were seeing throughout the regular season to relay information back over, to allow someone like Astro to just charge in, or someone like Ion, right, to just go for those entry frags. If you can give him those clear, concise comms off the back of your drones, feed him that info so he can just pick players off, run around uncontested on his roam, that's when they play some of their best. However, they're being kept in line a little bit more now, right? FaZe, you know, they're not getting as much room to breathe. They can't breathe deeply, get the oxygen in their lungs and run away with things. Team 1 is at least trying to force them back into a corner and make it uncomfortable, which is way, way better. However, you're absolutely right. In the sense, when it comes to the flip side, I am worried for them when we then get to see Team 1's attack, because historically, it's been nice on Coastline. They've had some good rounds with it. And I feel like with the way they're starting to play, they're now actually hitting their shots, looking like the confidence is coming back, then maybe they'll have more of a field day. Issue is, you might be able to rock some bold plays, Tim, but if you get overwhelmed because you do something too audacious, it's not worth it.
I think Foles on the smoke there would have been better just taking the flash. The push wasn't really coming from the pool door with too much aggression. Ultimately, the utilities were raining in just to clear out those ADSs, and by trying to dodge away from it and not use the sanctity behind that deployable shield, it just meant that he was completely open to the angle from the other side, from that window on the ruins side, and ultimately that was his undoing. So yet another kill going in favour of FaZe Clan, but I just feel if it comes out 3-0, I think we see similar to what we saw on Villa, but as a flip reverse. I think Team 1 come out on the attack and do very well in that second half, just as we saw FaZe do after the half on Villa. And as we've said, it is their map pick. It is somewhere they feel comfortable, and I think that they will come out now. At this point in time, they've still got a job to do. They are on the defense, Team 1 down in Blue Bar and Sunrise. Reduct gets a kill onto Ion, and right now somebody needs to get behind that bar and start serving up some cocktails, Jackie, because FaZe, they are looking pretty sober and pretty serious at the minute, and that's not going to play into Team 1's hands.
No, it won't whatsoever, Tim. And at least right now, looking a little bit more like Tom Cruise in Cocktail, they are serving up something that is a little bit more delectable. As the frags come back through, you put themselves into a position to now try and shut down the round here. But there's a response from FaZe. The wide swing from Live. He gets the back door open, strikes against Reduct, and reduces him to absolutely nothing, leaving it hanging in the balance with 30 seconds in a 3 versus 3. They down another player on the push through. Lukid, he gets contact onto Live and slaughters him, leaving him looking more like dead. Oh, they force Yuna off the diffuser as well, and Lukid goes on to cause absolute carnage into the round as he'll pick up another one. A 3K here, hat-trick, back-to-back kills, really doing some damage.
I think that I have just heard the ignition turn over for Team 1, and the engine has fired up, and they get themselves into the lead here on Coastline with a very solid round coming in from Lukid there, able to just dominate in the last 10 to 15 seconds of that round, and that is exactly what Team 1 needs. They need those hero players to start stepping up and having those big moments, putting kills on the board and giving them the advantage that they need right now. They need to ride that wave of momentum. They need to come into round 6 here with a solid performance, and they need to take this 4-2 overall, give themselves some confidence and give themselves some breathing room more than anything, because so far in this matchup, FaZe have been breathing down their neck continuously, and it must be getting difficult to deal with that sort of pressure for Team 1.
Oh, mate, it's never nice. It's like when you're on the underground, Tim, you know, you're slightly too close to someone, they're breathing on you, you can hear all the coughing and the splatter, and you're just like, oh, please, just let me get off. I can't deal with it.
Sometimes you've just got to, Jackie, you've just got to take a step off and for that next train. I feel you, I know exactly what you mean.
It's a nightmare. I mean, you know, the only beneficial factor is they tend to be quite quick. They come along, you know, at least about 5 minutes after the previous one, so it is worth it.
Oh, I'd say, you know, in terms of, you know, systems, it's quite a good system. It works, you know, consistently quite well.
Oh, yeah, it's not bad. That's a little life tip for anyone, of course. You know, you're ever in London, you're ever waiting for the underground, and you think, the tube looking a bit busy. Just wait for the next one.
This guy's coughing all over me. Wait for the next one.
Not good. Not worth it. Right now, though, we're certainly see some coughing and splattering coming out of, as you said, that exhaust pipe for Team 1. It seems like it's starting to get a little bit rumbling, right? Maybe they're starting to make their moves from small MPH, Tim, towards medium MPH. They're getting there.
They need to kick up through the gears very, very quickly here and get themselves towards those big MPH numbers that we've seen throughout the season, Jackie. They need to start showing us exactly why they took the top spot. They have come in with some very solid performances and results, most notably 14-6 across a best of 2 with Team Liquid. Team 1 have shown that they are more than capable of winning this whole thing. There is no two ways about it, but right now they need to stake a claim, because FaZe, they're keeping themselves in contact, and contact will be found as Astro gets the opening kill onto Reduct, and that is the 3rd round in a row that we are seeing Astro come in and start things off for FaZe. And the problem with that is that basically Team 1 are playing 4 versus 5 at this point. They are yet to have a single opening kill in this entire game on Coastline, and that cannot be allowed to continue. if they get the opening kill, it is going to be a sigh of relief for them, because every single time they're having to rely on players like Philippox to come back with a big nitro toss to even things up at 4-4. Whereas if they can get that beginning, that opening kill, it's going to give them a massive boost and really take the pressure off.
It is ridiculous, man. The fact they've effectively been fighting 4 versus 5 into every round, and they've still got the majority of rounds won so far, and you're on your defense. Wild shenanigans that have been occurring here throughout the course of this coastline game that we've been gifted. In terms of damage being done as well, we had Mav up on Overwatch, lurking up on top of the roof, honed down, waiting for the rotation to come out. He spotted out Raps and spammed a couple of bullets into him, tags him up, but doesn't quite frag him up. So the Jaeger, still alive and kicking, albeit quite low when it comes to his sustainability. And we were talking about the underground, but right now it feels like they need to transition, stop looking like a small train and look more like a bullet train. Turn up the tempo and go for a fast hit towards one of these bomb sites, as they're really starving themselves out when it comes to timing. It's an equal stance in the battle of attrition, 4 versus 4, but you're giving yourself 25 seconds when push comes to shove on the execution. Falls. I'm curious if he actually has any canisters remaining to work with. One still in the back pocket on the utility belt. This could be pivotal. You dash that out, it should knock him off the diffuser. The bullets will aid him as well as they bludgeon him through the smoke. Not only does he inhale those toxic fumes, but he takes a bullet into the lungs as well, dropping it down onto one man. The last remaining member, oNe. No frags have been picked up, and that's not going to change here into round 6 as the scoreline will go 4-2. He's left in a stalemate position as Team 1 will win it.
0-4 for oNe at the moment is not going to be helping FaZe Clan right now. They find themselves down 4-2 on the scoreboard. Team 1 moving on to their stronger side here. They're actually historically stronger on the attack here on Coastline than they are on the defense. So right now, I would expect to see strong performances coming out of Team 1. It feels like they've found the feet a little bit. They've got the engine ticking over, and they are ready to start putting some traction down here and getting themselves through this second map. And oNe, he's going to need to start contributing on that FaZe side, because as much as there is absolutely no problem having those support players, having players that are droning, that are on the comms for you, you still need everybody chipping in, because otherwise it just puts too much weight on the shoulders of players like Astro and Ion, and it's asking too much of them, and the rounds that they don't manage to deliver, those are the rounds that you lose very, very quickly. So right now, they need to be looking for a little bit more out of oNe, probably live as well, whereas on the side of Team 1, we can see almost everybody chipping in there. Falls, he's only on 1, but by contrast, Philippox up there on 8 and 2, having an absolute storm.
Mate, it's a storm of fists that is coming out from Philippox right now, and they are raining down onto FaZe Clan. Left hooks, right hooks, uppercuts. This man is an MMA monster and just keeps on landing those punches, Tim. I know it might look like a resort, but it currently feels like it is the squared circle they're taking this fight in.
Certainly does. It doesn't look like a resort, Jackie, that would score overly highly on the old review sites, if I'm honest. We've spoken about those internet reviews before, and I can see this one not doing very well. You know, I can see a cold pool being the absolute least of the worries when there's bullet holes in the walls, there's no beds, or there's one bed in the entire place. You know, it's not good.
I mean, to be fair, you know, imagine that, right? You get a nice little, you know, villa resort. You tell your girlfriend you're going away, you're going to Ibiza, it's going to be a lovely trip. You walk up towards the front door. She gets air jabbed. You see her go flying into the pool. All of her clothes are wet. Her phone's broken. You're just sat there like, well, what am I meant to do now?
Horror of horrors, Jackie. You finally get inside, you find nobody on reception to check you in, so you go and find your own room. You think, I know, we'll watch a bit of TV. You head into the VIP room, you sit on the sofa, Jackie, and you get a crick in your neck because it's not pointing at the TV.
Right, no, honestly, at some point they do need to move that sofa, because it does really annoy me. It does bother me, Tim, the way that sofa's facing. It's not a reason for feng shui. It physically can't be, because there's no way that's comfy. Your neck would be killing you.
And talking about being killed right now, that is exactly what is happening to FaZe Clan. 4-2 on the scoreboard. We don't have any operators down so far in this round. It has been a slow attack so far from Team 1, but that's not unusual for them. They certainly play a strong information game. Drones will have been working hard to feed back plenty of information. They will have a very good idea of what's going on. But right now, Mav downstairs is one that they need to pay attention to. They need to make sure that they're shutting down and closing out that Mozzie, because he's got the nitro in hand, and when given the shout, he will be able to detonate and potentially take those vertical kills. So it looks like we're just going to have a man heading down onto the lower floor to do exactly that. He's just going in there, see if he can locate Mav and try to get him shut down and out of this round.
And time is whizzing by. Not looking good here, as obviously we are left in a 5 versus 5 when it comes to the execution. Team 1, you've been struggling on those opening frags, and the fact you're leaving it so late into the round with a FaZe Clan that is effectively just turtling and playing towards the site, waiting for the push to come through. Finally, a bit of aggression is utilized. oNe on the peak towards security, but it's not going to be a stone cold stunner. He won't be able to hit his shots. Instead, it's a trade that comes back through there onto live, dropping him down and keeping them in check. They actually build off the back of it as well, actually making something sustainable off of that opener. They now leave us into a 4 versus 3 position. Scratch that, it's even better. It's a 4 versus 1, and it's only Mav that's left alive towards the cool vibes. Ooh, but that sign is now covered in blood, as his head will be knocked off by Lukid on the peak. He'll come around and shatter him on the ash.
That's another half a star gone off the review. Jackie, there was blood on the walls. I will not be heading back to La Perla Blanca anytime soon. And right now, FaZe, they don't look like they're going to be wanting to head back to this resort anytime soon either, because they are being completely shut down. We are seeing much more out of Team 1, consistent with what we saw from them through the season. They really seem to have found their feet now and got running, and that could be a dangerous thing for FaZe. If anything, I think this plays into the hands of Team 1. If they were going to lose a map, then lose the first one, head into the third with that momentum of the second round win. Going to be tough for FaZe to turn that around. If this continues in a landslide as it is, heading to Hooker once again now, it could be really difficult for FaZe on map 3.
It feels like what we were kind of speculating about is maybe turning into fact rather than fiction. It's becoming a true storyline to build off. 1 round to work their way through, get themselves the guaranteed OT, 2 rounds to lock it down, and actually walk away with a fairly effective and quite fast game here as well, because this second map in the series, not been live for too long. It feels like we've actually had a pretty quick turnaround coming into this one. This is way more looking akin to the Team 1 we saw throughout the regular season as well. Throughout all those play days, this is how they looked. These are the sort of score lines they were posting up, and I'm glad they've woken up now, because it means we're going to have a really competitive series. We're most likely going to be getting that third and final map, and we'll be seeing who will walk away in the upper bracket when the dust settles on that map, if Team 1 can at least get themselves 2 more rounds here tonight, here in Ibiza.
Oh, it's exactly what we wanted. I'm hoping for 3 matches of 3 maps tonight. Absolutely no question. I want to see all 9. I want to see every drop of Siege that this major has to offer, because we have been just absolutely ruined through the season with the level of entertainment that these teams have brought us. And I know that they have got much, much more to offer on top of that. So for me, let's see every single minute of it that we can. And right now, as you say, Jackie, it looks reasonably certain that we're going to be heading towards that third map, but let's not forget it was 6-3 in the last matchup on Villa, and Team 1 fought almost all the way back. Right now, FaZe, they're looking to fight their way back into things here. They get themselves 2 kills on the board, and that's going to leave them 5 versus 3. The E1D scanner will slow that push down a little bit in terms of the defenders aggressing on, but only 4 seconds before Astro is right back up at those barricaded windows, just looking for more kills. Heading in now, oNe gets one for himself, desperately needed. He needs to improve on the defense. Flawless round for FaZe. 5-3 now, and they get themselves their first successful defense on the board.
And that's big as well. Obviously instigated off the back of the first frag. oNe welcoming himself to the scoreboard there as he opens up at the initial pick, and that got all of the boys hyped. They were gassed up in the team speak. They all started to go for the power plays. They're swinging onto every angle, and much like a wrecking ball swings, they were taking names, flattening everyone on Team 1. A Miley Cyrus round coming through as they have wrecked them into that encounter, Tim, and got the game a lot closer. 5-3 on the split now. FaZe They've woken up into that. They've got, you know, a little bit more fluidity to them. They're not looking as rigid. And this could be a better factor because we were talking about how the attack for Team One is a gigantic boon for them, how they should be even harder to contend with on their attack. But we didn't really talk about how the defense for FaZe could go, and that's a hell of a way to start it.
The real benefactors, Jackie, are you, I, and the 20,000 plus viewers at home that are enjoying this right now, because these two are starting to wail on each other, and the closer that FaZe can get themselves back into this, the tighter and tighter of a match that we are going to have. Team One, for me, need to get another round sooner rather than later. They want to get the 6th on the board here. They want to guarantee that overtime as a minimum. It'll activate a pressure valve within them, I think. Once they hit that 6th, you'll just see some of the pressure ease off them, because they'll think, right, we've got another round in us. We've got this map on the board. We're going to 3. We're not going straight out of the upper bracket here. They'll know that they're in it to fight for longer, and it is going to just ease them off a little bit, and I think they then go on to win it quite quickly after that point. But if they don't get that soon enough, FaZe are able to maybe fight back to 5-all for argument's sake before Team One managed to take that 6th. The pressure just remains constant throughout, and that could impact on them in the 3rd map, which is, of course, Cafe, and that's not going to be easy for either of these teams. I honestly think we're going to see the potential here, Jackie, for 36 rounds. I think we could see 12 in every single one. It wouldn't surprise me to see an overtime sprinkled in as well.
Oh, mate, cafe overtime genuinely sounds like the type of dish we would order up.
I can't handle that sort of excitement.
Oh, mate. Well, it's cooking. It's in the oven. We'll see if you fancy it. You know, wait and see if your eyes are going to be big enough. You never know. Your belly might be a little bit full, but right now it's certainly tantalizing me. I can almost taste how good of a game that would be. But we're currently in the midst of a matchup, and we are seeing frags coming through as Luca will be able to peek out. He'll G36 see you later. That's what he's going to say across to Astro as he gets the opening pick, cleaning up the initial kill. But there's a trade. Yuna coming back through, looking like a speeding bullet as he'll connect onto the first man. And right now, FaZe Clan, they are going to be sweating as things are heating up into the round. It's all left on Vigil. Ion in the 1 versus 4. One man's down. That is going to be the sledge of Raps, but he's revivable if they do want to actually push out and attempt to get him back on his feet. Not very necessary right now, though, as they can just hold their angles and effectively just wait for the push to come in. Ion, you've got a hard task ahead of you. Locked in position as well. Not going to be able to move off the back of the Lion. Does he clear towards the left? He has been detected now, giving the game away and taking an awful lot of bullets. He is pumped to the brim with bullets here, but he's still landing shots of his own as he peeks out, connects one back onto Ash and drops her down to the ground. In the meantime, they were able to get Raps back on his feet, and they do outnumber him. It doesn't matter if you're downing players, you need to end them. He's not being able to first and actually finish them off when it comes to those downs to him, and time is just whizzing by as well. They've also got clear access on towards that A site. They can just walk across, drop that diffuser, and at that point, you're in a 1 versus 4 retake. Your days are numbered, mate.
Just trading down for down at the minute, unable to find the kills, and that will come back to bite Ion as Foles bites real hard as he manages to take that round and push Team One onto 6 and guaranteed overtime. As a minimum here, they will of course be looking to get this one finished off, and as I said, getting that 6th round on the board, you just get a real feeling here that it's just going to just unleash that valve, take the pressure off. You've just got all that hot water vapor just pouring out, Jackie. You know the scene that I'm talking about. It's in plenty of movies. The bullet hits the pipe and that's exactly what's just happened to Team One right in FaZe's face. They've got scolded. They're just reeling around at the minute, and Team One, they need to step in here and go for the kill. Finish this one off now, 7-3, and get themselves onto Cafe with a solid foundation behind them.
Oh, mate, yeah, that's a nightmare. That would really do some damage to you. In terms of the burns, that would hurt. You would be off to the burns ward immediately. And that's also one of the reasons why, you know, you never put your hand above a steaming kettle. Don't get too close to the kettle smoke, because it will hurt.
I mean, yes, sound advice, Jackie. You know, I can't imagine how many people require that. I think, you know, generally...
You never know, Tim. You never know. I want to be safe rather than sorry.
Not heard of it as too much of a hobby, but, you know, yeah, I would absolutely back you on that. You know, do not put your hand over the top of a steaming kettle, because it will hurt. There is, you know, no question. I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
Yeah, see? But something we can argue about, Tim, is we do have a poll that went through. Now, this happened back at halftime from what I can see here. And the question was, do we think that FaZe Clan will win? That was what we asked towards the chat, and the results are in. We had 62% believing that, yes, FaZe Clan will still come back and be able to win this game. Now, they do still have a chance to do so. However, it seems more like the 38% that were in favor of Team 1 are going to be the ones that were correct and clairvoyant.
Right now, it's certainly looking that way, and as you say, there's obviously a lot of FaZe fans in the house, and that's understandable. They are a very big organisation with a huge following, but right now, I can't see too many of those fans being too ecstatic at what they are seeing here on Coastline. Team 1 coming out and showing exactly why this was their map pick, and this is what I like about Best of Threes, Jackie. We come in and you can ban away one map each, so you can arguably take out a very strong map from your opponent, but ultimately, you're only losing one map. And so you can make sure that you are getting to pick a very strong map for yourself. So those opening 2 maps in particular, they are always really hard fought. And it's not unusual to go to 3 for that reason, because Team 1 have come in here and shown just how good they are on Coastline. But Villa, it wasn't their map. And, you know, we saw that FaZe able to take it. But Team 1, maybe looking like they hadn't actually got running. Maybe they were running. It just wasn't the track for them.
Wow. Right now, Team 1 are potentially standing 1 round away from being able to find victory here up against FaZe Clan, bring it back to an equal stance, and leave us down to 1 map, the decider of Cafe, to seal the fate of who will stay in the upper bracket and who will be knocked down into the lower bracket and have to start their slog to bounce back into the later days of competition. It will be very intriguing to see how this is going to go if we find ourselves on Cafe. But we won't get ahead of ourselves, because although FaZe Clan are down a man into this round, they're not out of the running just yet. But it is looking like that is becoming more and more like the potential outcome with each and every frag that we see. Right now, Team 1 racking up more bodies, building a pile of them, as they do leave it all on one man, oNe. He's had 3 frags into the game. He'd need to get 4 into this round alone to keep FaZe in with an opportunity to win it, as he goes charging through, coming out through security. But he can't secure the chance for another round for FaZe. In the end, Team 1 will win it, as they drop the good halves. The GG's coming through, as they will be moving into the 3rd and final map. It all comes down to Cafe to see who will be standing tall here in the upper bracket.
Much more what we've come to expect from Team 1 there. They looked more reminiscent of the team we remember from the first stage. All the way throughout, we knew that they had big results in them, and that was the first step towards it. Can they get themselves through this opening upper bracket semi-final to